Welcome back. It is Wing Nation on MRN, on MAV TV. You know, Kendra, we talked about one of the great stories. It was 25 years ago, the Knoxville Nationals, Bobby Allen winning the race. And I've made no bones about this. I'm the newbie around here. I wasn't following this great sport at that time. I was doing dirt modified stuff. My recollections of Bobby are from the last 3 years, and it's phenomenal what he's doing in the last 3 years with his son and his grandson. And Bobby joins us now here on MAV TV. Hey, Bobby, welcome into Wing Nation.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, Bobby, we're going to talk about that historic race 25 years ago, but I think one of the greatest stories we have in sprint car racing right now is you. Okay, folks, Bobby is no spring chicken, okay? Early 70s, he's got a son and a grandson in their early 20s, and Bobby, for the last year and a half, you guys have been touring the country together, the three of you, doing the World of Outlaw Tour. How much fun have you guys had doing this, with the work, of course?
Well, we've had a lot of fun. We've had a lot of heartaches, and we've had a lot of work and a lot of travel and a lot of we ain't going to make it to the next race, but somehow we always pull through and we make it.
So how is the support from the other teams out there? Because like Steve was saying, this is one of the best stories we have going on in dirt racing right now. And it seems like everyone is very supportive of you and Shark Racing.
Yeah, the other teams help us. The first year, they didn't tell you till the end of the year, but they all bet we wouldn't make it through the year. And then we made it. They were happy for us. And then if we need something, I go borrow it from them, and I try to give it back because in case I need to borrow it again, I want to make sure I paid them back, borrow something again. But they all seem to help us live it. I buy their used tires from them and do the different things it takes to do on the road. But, no, the guys are all good to us.
How about traveling with your son and grandson? How neat has that been?
Well, that's pretty neat to have your grandson and your son together with you on the road traveling. I mean, it's a pretty good thing because you're with them all the time. Sometimes they get on each other's nerves, or I get on their nerves, but we get through it and we make it to the next race.
So what are the best times? Are the best times the races and what goes on at the track, or are the best times the in-between and in the truck and traveling down the highway?
Well, I try to do like when I was younger. I always went to all the little neat stuff. So when we got time in between, I do take them. Went down to my daughter's place. Or I took them down the coast of California. Or this year we stopped at San Antonio at the Alamo, went down the Riverwalk. I do a little of that stuff to show them that's when they get girlfriends that can travel. They go up and down the road. But the best times are when I see improvements in them and they start running better, and I see them do things they weren't doing 6 months ago or 5 months ago or last year. And then I see, because it is a hard deal fighting with these guys that been to these tracks. And Jacob's really basically new. Logan's got a little more experience. But it's fun when they when all of a sudden they're attacking the racetracks and they're starting to learn and they're starting to see it now, and it's rewarding. Well, then that becomes fun.
Bobby, to me, this kind of, and I may be totally wrong here, but to me, this sort of mirrors your career when you were a driver. You never had the biggest budget. You traveled around sort of like you do now. Is it very similar? I mean, I know it's 2015 versus 30 years ago, but are there similarities in the way you used to do it and the way you guys are doing it now?
Well, sure, because I'm the one that's basically doing it. So yeah, definitely they're doing it.
Yep.
They're doing it the only way I know how, cutting every corner and trying to make ends meet to fight the big teams. We're fighting them. I'd say I look at it as 2 more years we'll be able to fight them hard. Right now we're growing. We got growing pains on motors and growing pains on learning. But I see it in 2 years. I mean, we're going to get 1 or 2 within a year or so here, and maybe have some really good finishes. But I see constantly running up front here in 2 years.
So are you committing to 2 more years with the World of Outlaws?
Yeah, I know I'm on I'm 71. I'm on the downhill thing, so I'm trying to get it on this age thing, but I'm trying to get it to where, I'll run, hopefully, 5 more years or whatever. Yeah, I'm committed. I ain't going to quit till we win.
Well, you're only as old as you feel.
Until they can do it without me also.
You're only as old as you feel, right, Bobby? So if you had to pick your age, how old you feel, what would it be?
Well, when I'm laying in bed, I go to get up, I feel about 40. When I get up out of bed, I feel about 50 or 60. By the end of the day, I feel 70 sometimes.
Well,
That's fair.
You're starting each
right
day,
now,
right?
I do 95% of all the driving on the road, so that gets you wore out sometimes. It keeps me straight. You don't have any drinks or anything so you can make the next racetrack.
There you go. See, we find the positives in it. Bobby, we need to step away because when we come back, we are going to talk about the 1990 Knoxville Nationals. So stay with us. Everyone else, hang in there. It is currently one of the greatest stories in sprint car racing, what Bobby Allen Jacob Allen and Logan Schuchart are doing. And 25 years ago, it was the biggest story. It was the 1990 Knoxville Nationals. Bobby Allen scored the victory. Amazing run. Bobby, tell us about that race. Tell us about that Nationals.
Well, we ran a preliminary race a month before that, and I was actually pretty fast at that race. So we came to Knoxville. I kind of had a little bit of a inkling that I had a dark horse chance of being right there in the race to win. And I ran fourth that race. And actually, I got tired. The track was rough, but I ran second. But the day of the race, when I walked out to the track to look at the track, and my groove that I usually run was really saturated, I said, you know what? For some reason, I feel like I'm going to win that race. And then as the race, then the race came that day, and we took off. Well, the only one I was really worried about would be Steve Kendrick, and I knew he could run the top and the bottom. And then it came along there. Mark Kendrick was running pretty good. He was leading it, but he was running the top. I could tell the top was going to give out by the end of the race. And he wasn't a good guy to run the bottom. So I thought, well, because Steve had already fell out. He was one of my – so I figured it was just a little bit of fate in this race. And then Mark did blow up, so that put him out. And then I ran the race, and as I ran the race, I started right in front of Sammy. It seemed like I was beating Sammy most of the race. And we had a restart. I missed the bottom and about spun out. And then Sammy did take the lead for a lap. And I thought, well, and how is this going to happen? I'm supposed to win this race. Well, then the next lap, Sammy went where I was, but he hit the same spot I did. It got narrow, and he got sideways. So he moved back to the top. Well, right away went through my mind. I said to myself, I can't say them words. I said, well, he messed up there. And I said, he went back to the top. I said, it's going to take a lap or two to get my tires hot, and I'm going to come right off the bottom and beat him. And I knew a lap before that I was going to get by him. And when I come by him, he banged off the wall, and that was all it took. I just went on and won the race. So then it became, at the time, to me, it was just another race. Then I realized later it was a pretty big race, and I was glad to win it. Of course, they came down to me afterwards and said, what did it feel like to win the biggest race? And all the fans went wild, clapping and all that. And I said, that's because I owe them all money. Now I can pay them back.
What was the celebration like when you won the Knoxville Nationals?
It actually sunk in more the next few years to me. But no, we celebrated good that night to about 4 or 5 in the morning.
So you guys had a pretty good party, but then the life of a sprint car racer in 1990, you had probably somewhere else to go, didn't you?
Yeah, we had somewhere else to go. I think it was a race about 2 days away or something, 1 day away. It used to be you ran the next day, but this time I think we ran on Monday.
That race, it seems like that win really inspired a lot of the underdogs around the country and these guys that were racing without the big budgets and the ones who couldn't get out there and beat Kinzer. And you made that possible. And you've always had this kind of persona and personality of being a little rough around the edges. And that's possibly how you got the nickname Scruffy, I'm guessing. But how did you always feel about having that kind of image or that kind of nickname and personality?
No, that stuff don't bother me. I know how I am. I'm probably as good or better than half the people like that. That's just because I used to work on the race car hard. I didn't mind getting dirty, and so they just called me Scruffy. But that I like the race cars looking good. In fact, it's kind of funny. At the beginning of the year, they always had a contest in York, and my car always won the show. But once we got racing, if I had $500 in my pocket, I wasn't going for a paint job. I was going for parts for the motor. That was more important to me. It's just like Carl and Steve. They never had beautiful race cars. They just had the essence of what it takes. In the long run, does it hurt you? Yeah, because when you look back on it, because the people with the money, they want the image that you need to do. So I'm trying to teach these boys to do all the things that I didn't do.
And I'll tell you what, Bobby, it is fascinating. It is one of the great memories of the Knoxville Nationals. I mean, it is one of the highlight memories of it. We appreciate you taking some time and sharing that with us and enjoying talking about this with you. Thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation.
Well, thank you.
There we go. That is Bobby Allen. Wow.
I was at that race.
Were you at that race?
I was at that race. Yeah, I was. I'm not going to give my age away. I was at that race, and I remember the crowd's reaction. Yeah. And it was like everyone celebrated. I mean, it was a win for the sport and a win for these underdogs and an upset for the ages. And it's something that I will never forget as a kid. So I can't imagine him and his feelings and his family and how they remember that win.
That's so cool to hear you because you were there. I watched the boys now. And a few weeks ago, Logan was up front running a race at Us Weekend up in Canada, so close. And I'm thinking, man, we're going to have a real – because when the boys win, Okay,
Oh,
when
and it
Jake
will
was
happen.
and it will happen. Okay, when they win, and it might be at a small race, it might be at a big race. The reaction's going to be similar because everyone is pulling for these guys, just like Bobby Allen. Everyone is pulling for Scruffy. Everyone is pulling for these boys. And when they win that first World of Outlaw race, and like I said, it'll be a win. It is going to be a similar reaction, maybe
For
on a
sure.
smaller scale, but it is going to be a similar reaction. Really, really cool. Great stuff. We appreciate taking some time with Bobby. We need to step away. When we come back, our Tweet Your Seat, Tweet of the Week, T-shirt, and a whole lot more. Stay with us, everyone.